Und damit ein herzliches Willkommen zu einer Part Fake and Order. Ich bin es im Surfix. Wir sind beim letzten Mal hier in Salisbury angekommen und haben uns hier mit Oberon zusammengetan, ein bisschen hier über das Fienvolk erfahren. Und nun schauen wir uns mal in der schönen Stadt hier um, die ziemlich beeindruckend aussieht. Wow. Really is a huge cathedral. How this sends me. The air here is very different from Cornwall. There may be fairies everywhere we turn here to, but I don't sense anything dangerous about them. They all seem happy and full of good cheer. Is there some sort of festival taking place today or something? No, there's just life in Salisbury. It's the only free city in all of Britain. There are about 200,000 people living in Salisbury. Some are wind, earth, and fang fairies. True. Some are fairies who emerge spontaneously from nature, and some are even independent humans. Independent humans? Humans who have won their freedom and now belong to no one but Britain itself. I was hoping to tell you about that aspect of life here once things had settled down, but I guess it was bound to come up sooner or later. And since the great cathedral is here too, it seems as a good place as any to get into it. You Chaldeans may have thought there were no humans in this Lostbelt, but strictly speaking, that's not true. Humans do exist, they are just not at the top of the hierarchy. Here, they use the tools to enrich fairy society. In proper human history terms, they are essentially slaves. Didn't you think there was something strange about this city? It's wrong, twisted, unseemly. Now that you mention it, the idea of fairy city does seem wrong. Exactly, fairies are supposed to live in harmony with nature. Even when they form communities, it's always forest children and stone children grading under the same great mother. They were always just the divided spirits of the planet who never possessed a culture of their own. But as you can see, Fairy Britain has become a place where fairies image its human society. For about 14,000 years, fairies here have raised humans like cattle. In that time, they used humans' innate creativity as entertainment, which in turn allowed them to flourish. Fairies live long lives, and they require assistance whatsoever. Since there's nothing they can do, they never change and they never try anything new. In contrast, humans have countless weaknesses. They live short lives, they injure, don't heal, they need food to survive, and they can easily be killed by wild beasts. So naturally humans come up with all sorts of things that would allow them to survive and flourish in spite of all these weaknesses. I'm guessing the fairies found that kind of human thinking to be absolutely fascinating. It was like finding a shiny new toy. So they began keeping humans as livestock, followed by superficially copying the culture of cities like this one. They completely ignored the substance behind human agriculture, architecture, and other various fields of study. Instead only imitating it at the most basic superficial level. Anything they couldn't copy manually they fudged with magic energy. The cathedral there is the worst offender. Fairies have no gods or no religion. There was no actual point to making the cathedral, they just thought it was fun. That Fairy Britain's culture and how they treat humans. So they just kind of copied human culture? Well, yes, I guess you could put it that way. Still, as a fairy myself, I can understand how things got to this point. While they definitely took it too far, it makes sense. They'd like to... Ey, staubig, liebe Leute, hier in Salisbury. They get like this in this world where humans are endangered. Both in proper human history and in this Lostbelt, humans and fairies, favorite source of luxury entertainment. This land came to be known as Fairy Britain when fairies began regulating humans at a societal level. It's also the key political policy of High Queen Morgan, your enemy. Huh? You guys are going to fight Morgan? Yep, or at least that's the current plan, isn't that right, Maxie? I still don't have a good handle on the situation here, but I do know we need to meet her. But first, we need to find my other two companions. Alright, we do, don't we? First things first, and all that. Why don't we start with the pub? There are always people coming and going in pubs, and some of them may know something useful. Artoria? Maxie, you've helped me out a lot, and I really do appreciate it, but... What should I do? If he's going to fight High Queen Morgan, it only complicated things if I stuck around. I wanted to stay with him until he found Mesh, but maybe it would be better to go our separate ways here. Ah, so that's how it is. By the way, Artoria, do you know what they do to humans in the city they catch without their owners? They're captured and arranged escapees and sent to New Darlington. New Darlington? Was in Darlington, the National Slaughterhouse Theater? National Slaughterhouse? Say what? That's horrible. But wait, isn't Salisbury supposed to be a free city? That of the Wing Clan runs this place, right? Surely they wouldn't do anything so horrid. Not necessarily, not even the head of the Wing Clan can defy the High Queen. So it would definitely be an advantage to have as many trusted collaborators with us as we can. Maxie still doesn't know right from left here, and on top of that, he's human. Without an owner to watch over him, it'll just be the nameless woods all over again. I'd do it myself, but since I'm obviously a noble, even royal, it would strain crudely if I tried to claim a human of unknown origins as my own attendant. But you, on the other hand, would be a perfect fit for Maxie. And don't worry, I'm not asking you to stay with him forever, just while we're in Salisbury. You prefer that over being alone too, right, Maxie? I guess you're right. Being alone in Britain these days would make me more likely to attract suspicions from the authorities. But what about Tristan? Couldn't he pretend to be Maxie's owner? He probably could, but Tristan knows just as little about Fairy Britain as Maxie. It wouldn't take much questioning from one of the clan guards to expose the facade. I wouldn't go that route unless we had no other choice. What if a human attendant? That would mean I'd have to be an upper-class fairy, which would also make me Maxie's owner, and... It would just be pretend, or were you actually hoping to make him your pet? No, I couldn't. Pretend is fine. I'm still much too young for that. Great, then it's settled. Maxie, Artoria is going to be your owner for a while. It'll be the safest way to travel here. Think you can play along? So wie Sie wünschen, my lady. Don't worry, I actually have some acting experience. Okay. If you're sure you want me to for this, then I'll do it. Besides, we've come this far together, so I certainly don't mind traveling together a little more. In fact, looking on the bright side, this is actually making one of my childhood dreams come true. Oh, what dream would that be? The same dream every fairy who grows up in the country has, joining the ranks of upper-class city folk. Ja, Mädel, mach schon. Hi there, my good Salisburyans. How are you all this fine day? That's right, it is I, Oberon, the Fairy King, the Autumn Woods, the Missionary of Peace, Flowers and Fairy Tales, here to grace you with my boisterous presence. Hi Oberon, glad to see you doing well. Nice to have you back in Salisbury again. Just make sure you don't put anything on your tab today, you hear? Oberon, I knew coming to a day drinker was a good idea. Oi, when you're paying back the money I lent you. I still have to thank you for the help the other day, Oberon. The advice really got the trees in my backyard to settle down. I'm still waiting for you to pay me back though. Alle kennen ihn, alle schätzen ihn und allen schuldet er Geld. Lovely Oberon, you have some time to spare, right? You simply must attend our tea party today. I'm still waiting for you to pay me back though. There's the poor little prince with the 10,000 year tab. Don't worry, I'll cover this round. I'm still waiting for you to pay me back though. Will you all cut it out? Stop pointing out how popular I am. I'm here with some important friend today. Save the money talk for a later time, alright? We know, don't worry. We are just joking. You have enriched our lives way more than the Queen's banknotes ever could. We are happy to treat you. Wer ist eigentlich dieser Oberon? Ich check es nicht, Mann. Okay, er ist beliebt. Wenn er aber auch der Feenkönig bezeichnet wird, hat er nicht morgen eigentlich ein großes Problem mit ihm? Unerraten. What was that about the 10,000 year tap? Huh? So you're poor, even though you call yourself a king? Well, yes, my financials are a little lean just now. Bluntly, I'm flat broke. But what do you expect? When I was summoned to Fairy Britain, all I had on me was this cloak. I woke up in the forest, piled with high dead leaves, with literally nothing to my name. Usually, in a situation like that, I'd be bumped to anything but wait for help from proper human history. But since I arrived first, I knew there was things I need to take care of. First thrive on what they find interesting, so I went around putting on shows in the various cities here. I sang songs, rilled up crowds, told fairy tales, entertained housewives, and livened up the nights. Over time, the people of Britain came to know me as the regal fairy king of a fleet nobody's heard of. Well, at least in the major cities anyway. Oh, so I didn't know about you because I'm from the countryside. Sorry about that. I try to branch out more from now on. So, this was a hard-fought battle in its own right. Can you imagine what it was like for me to have an act like nobility without any actual capital? I can recall a few dozen times I lied about my situation, so I could sing love songs to a beautiful woman I met at a tavern. And indeed, there's nothing quite so tense as that. As a fellow poet, Oberon, I have the greatest respect for what you've accomplished here. I don't suppose you'd be willing to give me a few in-depth lessons on how to roll fairy style, would you? If you really like to learn from me, I'd be glad to teach you what I know. Besides, with your music backing me up, I bet I'd be able to expand my clientele even more. Now I see, you're both scoundrels who can't be trusted around women. Anyway, where should we sit, Oberon? My fairy table is around the one in the back, one on the raised floor. It's harder for the other customers to see you there, and it gives you a full view of the whole pub. Now, how about we start with a toast of fruit water? Excuse me, cutie, are you the new server? Let the owner know we'll be using the table in the back, okay? Oh, and we also like to order 4 apple waters. Alter, das wird sie nicht auffallen mit ihren Monsterpranken, der Mann. Da winzig Schwan. Und hey Leute, ist es zum ersten Mal so, dass ein random Kostüm in der Story hergenommen wird? Scheinbar. You got it. I have them ready in just a moment. Hä? Hä? Da Vinci? Wow, no way. Maxi, it's really you? wie sie einfach nur so vorbeirast, Mann. Was zur Hölle? Okay. Liebe Leute, es wird über Stranger. Aber nur gut. Auf jeden Fall sind wir schon mal Salisbury. Das ist schon mal ein guter Anfang. Und wir haben den Menschen wieder gefunden. Jetzt kommt noch Maschu. Und die Welt sieht eigentlich wieder ein bisschen heller aus, würde ich mal sagen. Oh man. You'll never believe what happened to me. So, after we got separated in the fog, I let my instincts lead me. And it brought me right back to the beach. Luckily, the beach was far enough away from the foggy woods that I was able to follow the coastline east. Eventually, I caught sight of Salisbury here and figured I ought to be able to learn more about populated city. Then, when I got here, an angel far too good for this world just appeared on my pub's doorstep. She was very unsteady on her foot, but I could still see the fire in her deep blue eyes when she said, "What a lovely place. Would you let me work in here for the rest of my life?" I never said that. What I said was, I'm looking for companions, but first, could I have a glass of water, remember? Well, if you ever change your mind, you just let me know. You're welcome to work here forever. Yes, I heard you first 100 times, Mike. Now, back behind the counter. I'll teach you to make cocktails later. Oh, Da Vinci, my perfect angel. Mike, du musst aufpassen, liebe Leute. Ich hör schon die Polizeisirenen. Anyway, that's my story. I'm glad you're okay, Maxi. You too, Tristan. Although, it looks like you still haven't found Mesh yet. I see. You must be the other 7 Maxi told us about. It's an honor to meet a renowned genius like yourself, Leonardo da Vinci. Oh, I'm guessing the fact that you know my name means you're a seventh from proper human history. I'm Oberon the Fairy King, though I guess here it's more of an aspirational title. It's nice to meet you, Da Vinci. I'm a Tori Caster. I met Maxi in the Nameless Woods. To make a long story short, I'm going around with Maxi pretending to be his owner. Seriously? That's hilarious! Thanks, Artoria. That must be a huge weight off Maxi's shoulders. But hey, you're a British fairy too, right? You probably got some idea of what it is we're doing here by now. But you're helping Maxi, so does that mean you're good with it? Well, more or less. Honestly, I didn't really get even half of what Maxi and Oberon taught me. But I do know that Maxi was telling the truth. I wouldn't feel right about abandoning someone in trouble when it's within my ability to help them. And honestly, it's kind of seemed like fun. Gotcha. Then it should be okay to speak frankly here. So, how did you end up here, Maxi? Vielleicht sollten wir schnell zu sagen, dass wir nicht ganz so weit gesagt haben. Wow, sounds like you guys had a hell of a time in the forest. I'm glad you made it out here okay. Thanks for keeping me safe, Tristan. You too, Oberon and Artoria. So, we still don't know much about Britain. We have no idea where Mesh is. But we do know that she's still alive and Oberon is flat broke. Okay, now that we are on the same page, we can figure out what to do next. You made the right call, Oberon. We shouldn't be wandering aimlessly around Britain right now. Diese schelmische Lache, die ist echt gut, Mann. Das ist echt gut, Mann. What we need to do is set up a base of operations here in Salisbury where we can get information and tackle our problems one at a time. Our top priority right now is finding Mash, so we'll need to look for info on a girl wearing iron armor. While we do that, we should also learn more about Britain and the lives of the fairy who live in it. What did you have in mind for the base? Do you have a place of your own here? I sure do. This pub doubles as an inn. Well, technically, they just copied a man-made inn without knowing what it was for. So I taught my Boggins and how to put all the extra rooms he's got here to good use. And as a little reward for my service, I got to take 3 of the second floor rooms for myself. I knew we'd eventually find each other, and that we'd need a Chaldea frontline base when we did. So that's why I went ahead and made one. Wow, I'm impressed, Da Vinci. And I know Lancelot would be especially blown away by what you've done here. Wir erinnern uns an Camelot, liebe Leute. Is this Lancelot person also a young girl? What? This is great. I can already tell this Da Vinci friend of yours will be a huge help. Ist natürlich nett, liebe Leute, weil so viel können wir natürlich sagen. Neben Artus, der hier natürlich ein bisschen anders ist, sind natürlich auch die anderen Fairy Knights ein bisschen anders. Und sagen wir es einfach so, Lancelot, wie wir ihn kennen, ist ein bisschen anders. Alright, since it seems like you guys have things well in hand now, I think I take my leave. I've actually got a lot of other things I still have to do. You're going off on your own, Oberon? Yep, I'm going to see what I can find about this Mesh girl. Not to mention, we also need more information about Britain as a whole. Now that you Chaldeans have come here, things are definitely going to change. And since we still don't have many allies on our side, I want to make sure we know where things stand in every region. But we'll see you again soon, right? Of course, especially now that I know where I can find you all. Don't worry, the next time you see me, I have good news. In the meantime, I'd suggest you all get acclimated to Britain sooner than later. Well then, you shouldn't waste any time. I'm glad he's on our side, but he definitely dances to the beat of his own drum, doesn't he? Indeed. And that colorful outfit of his speaks to me. It tells me he is without a doubt the same kind of poet as me. Ah, how this gladdens me. So what should we do now? I could show you around Salisbury if you like. Thanks, but I think we should take the rest of the day off. You all walked a long way to get here after all. Please go ahead and make yourself comfy in the rooms I mentioned. Maxi, You take a room for yourself. Tristan and I will share another. And Artoria, you can use the other room I set aside for Mesh. I knew I was right for sitting for just 2 rooms. Oh, I also put up some Minecraft barriers in the room, so we won't have to worry about being overheard. I recognize that Da Vinci wink. Sogar so unanständig ist. Really? I can have a room for myself for free? Hooray! I've always wanted to own a room. I can't wait to get all comfy. Thank you, Da Vinci. Gosh, in proper human history, fairies are so generous. That's great. And now she's gone too. I know I didn't touch on this before, but she's pretty different from the Artoria we know, isn't she? Yes, she is, from what I've seen so far. We should consider her an entirely separate person from King Arthur, Artoria Pendragon, the King of Britain in proper human history. Yep, which is one more thing I'd like to discuss up in our room, if you two don't mind taking this idea. It's better if we discuss proper human history stuff just among ourselves. Really can't be too careful here. Alright, let's begin by sharing what we've learned, starting with this version of Britain. You probably got a sense of yourself on our way to Salisbury. But this Lostbelt is very different from all the others we've seen so far. It doesn't look at all like an alternate path human history could have taken, especially since humans aren't the dominant species here. So far as I can tell, this world consists almost entirely of fairies. In Russia, huge cold snap made it impossible for human species to survive as they were, so they were forced to adapt and evolve. Aber das ist wie gesagt was anderes, weil im Endeffekt es waren ja nur die Menschen, die sich verändert haben. Das wäre jetzt wie, keine Ahnung, wenn Menschen wieder sich zu Affen verwandeln würden, aber das ist ja im Endeffekt, die Menschen wurden im Endeffekt beseitigt. In Scandinavia, the twilight of the gods, aka Ragnarok, happened during the age of gods, and both gods and people alike were in sharp decline afterwards. China was ruled by a single Senran, or 2 human, and became the sole nation-state in the entire world. India was converging in on itself through endless cycles of regeneration, only for the whole world instead of individual people. And in Greece, humankind was completely dominated by gods who never died out. While all of them were dead ends, they are still all human worlds. No matter how different they may have been from our timeline, they still all had human societies that suited their environments in the year 2019. But that's not the case here. This is very much not a human world. For one thing, there is no world outside of Britain. It's not like the other Lostbelts, where we just couldn't see the outside world thanks to the storm walls. There's just nothing in this world at all besides Britain, no other continents and definitely no other nations. So as long as we're here, the whole planet consists of nothing but the Isle of Britain and the sea. And that means it's basically another world within no relation to human history. Yep, given what we know, that's the only way to describe it. Over the last few days I've been asking various fairies about what things are like between Britain and other countries, but the very idea of other countries was aligned to them. So that tells me there must be some strange strange circumstances that caused this place to become Fairy Britain. Figuring out what that is will be the key to unraveling this Lostbelt. Hold on, if there aren't any other European countries here, does that mean every fairy in this land comes solely from the Isle of Britain? That's a great question, Tristan. If there are no other lands in this world, it follows that no fairy legend from those places would be imported here. But luckily there's still a little thing called human history conversions. What it means is, as long as a fairy once existed on Earth, their existence will remain even if their form and history are different. So, even if the Fairy Britain, we have fairies from various European legends showing up in different forms. Basically, the ecosystem are similar even if the environments aren't. Since this is still the same planet Earth, there are inevitably going to be similar life forms, civilizations, and large-scale events. Similar life forms, huh? Yep, Fairy Britain may be nothing like the Britain we know. But despite that, the 2 Fairy Britons have a surprising number of things in common. Things like city names, fairy names, even the name of the world's queen. Remember, that huge castle in and of you saw on the way here? It belongs to High Queen Morgan, ruler of Fairy Britain. And it probably won't surprise you to learn that its name is Camelot. That's right. Here, the same castle that symbolized British peace and proper human history. That was home to King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. Belongs to Morgan. The strongest, most despised witch in British history, and the one directly responsible for King Arthur's death and Britain's downfall. Und die Person, die wir besiegen müssen. I did hear the name a few times on the way here, but man. Wir wissen immer noch sehr wenig über sie, außer wie gesagt, dass sie halt hier mit harter Hand regiert und im Endeffekt, dass sie unser Ziel ist, welches wir irgendwann mal besiegen müssen. Yep, as far as been able to find out, monks ruled Fairy Britain for almost 2000 years. There are 6 different fairy clans: Wind, Earth, Fang, Mirror, Wing and one other. Die High Class oder sowas. They waged war with each other constantly for thousands of years. Until Morgan used evil magecraft to defeat them, subjected half of the clans through force and united all of Britain. Afterwards she gave the humans of this world a limited degree of freedom, made them build the foundation for civilization. And developed this imitation society over the course of the last 2000 years. Morgan. So even in this Lostbelt she's still trying to... But no, I suppose I shouldn't say that. I'm sure this Morgan is a different person from the one we know. So what exactly is her reign like? Since she calls herself Castle Camelot, does that mean it's fair and just in a way King Arthur would be proud of? No, it's pretty horrible. She has the strict limits of the number of humans that can be born each year, and she rules the fairies with an iron fist. Every fairy that lives in an urban area is inscribed with Monk's curse, command spells, as part of their civic duty. And every year, fairies inscribed with these command spells are forced to donate some of their vitality magical energy, essentially. They call it in the existence tax. Das haben wir schon gehört. And any fairies who can pay it, essentially, who can provide enough magical energy to satisfy Morgan, are killed right then and there. Apparently, when she first took the throne, Morgan told the fairies, I offer neither absolution nor salvation. I demand only that you obey without question or hesitation. Show me your fealty in word and action, and I shall keep Britain safe. Any fairies who can't handle the state of affairs and become unable to work are either taken into Camelot and dealt with there, or they escape the cities and run away to lands no one else knows about. So that's why those fairies were there. Von denen die Hälfte übrigens nicht mehr existiert. Such an oppressive regime is bound to spark opposition. Das ist die Rebellenarmee, but even so, Morgan has maintained her iron grip on Britain for 2000 years. Yep, which just goes how powerful she must be. She takes half of the soul of every fairy in Britain each year, and there's still no fairies able to willing to stand up to her. That said, there are some positive sides to Morgan's reign. Remember those black things we fought near the shore? The fairies call them Moors, and they are one of the calamities that have been plaguing Fairy Britain since its inception. Occasionally fairies that lose their purpose or their spark end up turning into those Moors creatures. Moors are essentially the fairies' natural predators. Just touching one is enough to infect a fairy, ultimately transforming them into a Moors too. It's kind of like a disease that only affects fairies. And the Moors aren't the only calamities Britain has to regularly contend with. There are lots of other that pop up as regular basis, and Morgan's, the High Queen's army, is constantly fending them off. Morgan may be a cold and ruthless ruler, but she also the sort that keeps Britain safe. The fairies may fear and hate her, but they also depend on her. And that's the current state of the Fairy Britain. Sounds like Morgan's definitely the Lostbelt King then. Yep, that seems like a very safe assumption, which means she'd also have to be the one who used the Rongoniat. That spell was so powerful it reached Olympus from here. No one else could have cast it. Though of course that unfortunately also means Beryl Gut is involved with Morgan somehow. So it's said that makes our chances of peaceful negation with her basically nil. I see. Then we have our own reasons of defeating her. Yep. Now we might have her times getting into Camelot, since apparently no one can enter it without her permission. That said, even Morgan Rain isn't perfect. In fact, there's a new hope going around Britain right now. As luck would have it, we showed up here at the exact right time, just as things are about to change. So what's this new hope? Die Prophezeiung, eh? The Child of Prophecy. Specifically, a child whose existence was prophesied by the head of the now extinct Mirror clan, right before they disappeared. From what I heard, it went something like this. 16 years from now, a savior shall appear. Guided by the staff of selection, the true king will take the throne. When the 6 bells ring out, the Force Queen will fail. Alongside Fae and humans, the savior will bring an end to the Force history. So what do you think? Sounds vaguely familiar, right? It's got credibility out the wazoo too, since the Mirror Clan's prophecies have never once been wrong. The High Queen's been trying to prevent the inevitability by rounding up a fairy who turned 16 this year. But the fact that this Child of Prophecy hunt is still going on proves that she still hasn't caught him. Suffice to say, between the Moss and the Child of Prophecy alone, the cracks are showing up in the High Queen's reign. So if we play our cards right, we might just be able to negotiate with Morgan after all. That said, finding mesh definitely comes first. For the time being, you should rest up and recover your strength. Then tomorrow, we can start gathering information quietly and cautiously, of course, so as not to arouse suspicion. Und wir haben genau dieses Mädel gefunden. Oh man, it feels like forever since I laid down on a soft bed. The British Lostbelt. High Queen Morgan. Oberon. Artoria. Ganz schön viel für unseren kleinen Master hier. Was so? Mesh, wherever you are, please be safe. Okay, I think we could use some rest too. Servants might not need sleep, but it's still tiring to be constantly watching out for threats, right? I mean, you never took your fingers off your bowstrings, even once the entire times. Guess that's why you were a knight of the round table, huh? Just you noticing that suggests I must need rest as well. But not just yet. But please, don't refrain from resting on my account, Da Vinci. You may be a servant too, but you're also living in the here and now, just like Maxie. So, go on, get some sleep, don't worry. It's my duty to protect you as well as him. Gotcha. I guess I should have expected that kind of consideration from Tristan, the child of sadness, and the most handsome knight of the round table. Okay then, I think I'll take you up on that. Honestly, I was pretty beat. By all means, but first, I have just one request for you. I don't want to take you much of your time, but before you fall asleep, I was hoping you would tell me about the sixth singularity. Specifically, I would like to hear about the version of me who was summoned there, and what I was doing in the holy city of Camelot. Kommt's wieder, liebe Leute. Ja, jetzt kommt's wieder. Ob er das wirklich erfahren will? Nun gut, Leute, wir machen an dieser Stelle jetzt erstmal einen kleinen Cut. Beim nächsten Mal geht es dann weiter. Schau dich an! Small Bells! Small Bells! Ich muss das immer halten, weil die Dinger brauche ich. Nun gut, dann würde ich sagen, beim nächsten Mal, haben wir richtige Kämpfe. Und dann schauen wir, wie es weitergeht. Mit Falcon und Avalon le Fae. Vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen. Bis zum nächsten Mal. Ciao!